Hello. So I have candy in my mouth that I'm trying to let melt. So I'm going to be talking a little funny because I cannot swallow this. Because it's special candy. And I like to be sober. Which is kind of like hypocritical and oxymoronish. But anyway. The other day, I had to explain to someone who was a lot younger, I think maybe like late teens, early 20s, about addiction. Because, when you're younger and don't know or have never been through it, it's really hard to understand how it happens. Because I feel that a lot of people just assume that we wake up one day and I'm just like, you know what would be a great idea? For me to start doing the things and becoming an addict today. And that's really not how it works. So for me personally, I wouldn't call myself an addict. I would call myself an abuser, because addiction doesn't run inside of me. I don't have an addictive personality, none of that. So I just used to excess because I could. And I told her, it isn't something that you just decide to do. I don't think anyone would ever wake up in the morning and decide to do that. I don't think anyone would throughout their day just make a decision like that, because this candy tastes terrible. Everyone knows that it's not a good thing to do. It's not a good choice to make. And I don't personally think it's a choice that anyone makes. So, in my experience, it was prescription medication, and it's a slippery slope. You are prescribed this medication because you need it, and you start taking one and your problems go away, and then you start taking another one when the problems come back, and then they go away again, and it just kind of goes like that, So it happens, I think, I can't say that it happens fast or slow, but I think that it's a kind of like a slow burn, but it happens faster than you think it does, or that you realize, because one day, as you're going through the habit and taking these pills to take the problems and the pain and whatever else you get prescribed them for, to take them away, you obviously have to stop, because it's not forever. And then when it comes time to stop, you realize that it's really hard. So hard, in fact, that you can't stop. And that's when it becomes an addiction. For me, like I said, I don't really have any problems hanging on to things like that. So I personally decided to just keep going because it was just fun. And I didn't have to stop because I wasn't working or anything at the time. This was 2008 when the Bush-Obama overlap thing happened. And, Obama's trying to fix what the economy became. So a lot of people were out of work, including myself. And because I didn't have to work, I had all the time in the world to do the things that I wanted to do. And I think it went on for 2-3 years, until finally I was like, this is not a good habit to have. It's not very healthy, not really conducive to me living a great life and I should stop. And so I did, much to the alarm, chagrin of my doctors, who I told, because I have no reason to lie, and they were like, you could have died, and I'm like, but I didn't. I'm sitting here right now, because I had stopped and I didn't tell them until like 2 weeks later, like cold turkey, because I was like on prescriptions, many of them, not many, but like through the years I had developed like this massive backstock, and so I just had like a bunch that I could just use whenever I wanted to. And yeah, so I just stopped, and that was that. But a lot of people aren't able to do that. So I consider myself really fortunate to be able to just be like, I'm gonna stop now, and just stop. But it's really, really difficult to get out of it. It is a cycle that is hard to break. And they're suffering, you know. This isn't something fun. This isn't something that anyone chooses to do. And it's certainly not like a lifestyle that is sustainable. But it happens to the best of us. And I think that it's really difficult for the people who have never experienced that to grasp that concept. And so there is a lot of judgment towards people who do have addiction problems. And sometimes these people don't even realize that this is an issue, which is why so many like anonymous groups exist to help with this. Little bit religiously God-centered, but you know what? I think that's might be the only resource. You know, like AA, NA, all of those kinds of things. Like focus groups, talk therapy, therapists, that kind of stuff. So even though there are resources out there, they're not really that great. And also, in order for people to get help, they have to recognize that it is a problem, and they have to want to get help themselves. You can't force someone to do that. So it's just a lot of different little things that kind of like accumulate into one big problem that no one really sees the little fine details of. So it's kind of like a complicated subject. But I had to try to explain it to like a teen 20-year-old. And that's why I made this video, because I was just thinking about it and how it is really misunderstood, and you will never fully grasp like all of it unless you've really been through it yourself. Anyway, that's the end of my video. Okay, bye.